Hello model railroaders, I'm Dave. Welcome back to another layout deconstruction quickie video. As you can see, the angled pieces are removed now, just leaving the very back of the layout. The room hasn't been this empty in about 5 years. Sad to see it go, but you do what you have to do, right? When coming to the joining the pieces together, I've done this the 2 foot by 2 foot section. It ended up that it was just easier to screw it in. It was a heck of a lot faster than trying to line up a piece where the holes are and drill it out and put the carriage bolts in on the top piece and then put the bottom piece down and then put the carriage bolts and tighten that up. Heck of a lot faster just using 4 screws. And of course these are the sides that the modules butt up against each other. So an extra 8 holes in this space, who cares, nobody's going to see it, as compared to the long face, because I wouldn't want down here. I'd rather keep it as clean as possible and not have a bunch of unnecessary holes in it. So everything will be put on this side where they butt up against each other. Now for securing these pieces, I of course have to get them out of the basement, and as it is just myself to carry them, I can't do 2 at a time. They'll just be too heavy and unwieldy to get up the stairs and through the doors and into the garage. So what I'll have to do that in the garage. What I plan on doing for these weird shaped pieces, as you can see, they're stacked up, and just as a side note, you'll see it because they're stacked up. I've made sure that there's a gap, and you can see at the base how it's on a slant. You definitely don't, if you're leaving track on, even though they come up a fair ways at the bottom there, because this piece is kicked up, that decreases the available space that you have at the end. So I made sure that this one was kicked out far enough that the bottom wouldn't get caught and torqued and ruined on by accident on the piece that it's leaning up against to protect the track in the first place. Track is very expensive, and to go to all this effort to save it just to have it get messed up by putting it up against another piece with the intent to protect it was, you got to be careful. But what I'll end up doing is, because these shapes are opposite each other, I'll go track face to track face on like say the 2 tops and the 2 bottoms level, and I'll just put in a 4 1x4 spacers in the corners when I go to do it, and that will stand probably about ½ an inch between the track faces, and when you account for the 1/8 inch cork and the height of the track, well, at least if there's a 1/4 inch, I'll check it before I screw it in, and then affix the pieces together, just to make sure that the track faces are gapped and aren't going to catch each other. For the back, as I mentioned, tilting the and resecuring any of the drops for the lighting, and then zip tying any of the loose wiring up together so that it's not flopping around, because if the wire gets caught, it's not the end of the world. It's easy enough to replace the wire, but track at $5+ a piece is very expensive, and we want to protect that as much as possible. And that kind of brings me to the foam base here. I've got 2 8-foot sections, one that starts down there and comes to the joint here, and then this is a full 8-foot section until this joint here, and then another 4-foot section there. Getting that moved without having to pull the track up, because at least in this case the track is just 2A taped down to the foam, so I'd be able to pull that up. But on my logging risers, I've used construction adhesive, and you know, a couple of those pieces are 6 to 8 feet long, and you know, getting them transported is not going to be easy in the back of a truck. You know, it just takes something to brush up against it, and you've dinged your track. It can happen so easily that you don't realize it until you go to put something together later and find out you've got a 4-inch section across multiple lanes of track that are all smushed, and you've got to, you know, that's a waste when you're trying to preserve it. So U-Haul does have a sports box that is 4 feet long, and I think something like 15 by 15 or something around those dimensions, which I'm hoping to be able to cut the foam down. I'll just use a track saw to cut wherever my 4-foot joint is, rather than using the rail nippers like these, because they will leave a pointed end on one of the tracks, and to join them up later it's going to be deformed. So I'll just track saw it and then use a long blade X-Acto foam cutting knife to cut the foam to separate it into the relevant sections. Again, you know, trying to save that $5 piece of track rather than just throw it out is the goal, and all the foam work fits together perfectly. All the time invested in getting it to that stage, you know, to have to repeat it, I'd rather try and you know, spend $6 on a box that it will fit within to salvage it, because it's foam. It's not going to weigh a whole lot to move, you know, as far as cost of moving goes, because of the foam. It's just a bulky, fragile thing, you know, and the pieces that I can't salvage, I'll just have to try and shave the foam off the back and salvage the track that way. But that's the goal, is to take as much with me as possible, not have to repurchase it later, as long as the purchase price is greater than the cost per weight to ship it at, you know, 52 or 54 cents a pound. You know, if it costs $1 and it weighs 2 pounds, you know, that's a break-even kind of situation. So I got to be very conscious of what goes, like whatever the woods bits that came from the and plywood and such that came from the logging upper run or the quarry lower run. That's all going to go to scrap, because it's just not cost effective for me to ship that. All the legs, of course, I'll keep, because I've had to drill and put the inserts in so that the carriage bolts would work properly for height adjustment. So those I'll take, because I had to pick through a lot of 2x2s to get ones that were straight enough, I'll tell you. But you know, all that has to be considered in the cost of moving. You know, a big layout is not necessarily better when you end up having to move, as I'm coming to find out. So anyway, for now, I'm Dave, and until the next video, bye for now.